So every year I give myself a book challenge. And in 2019, I had challenged myself to read 12 books. And I think I made that challenge. And so I was like, okay, cool. 2020, I'm going to double that because I'm me and I like to, push myself. And so in about June, I looked at how many books I had read so far, and it was only about 6. And I thought, oh my goodness, I need to read so many books before the end of the year. And so I was determined to make that happen. And I actually made it happen by September, and I surpassed that goal. And if you don't like reading, please trust me. You can binge a book, and it can be even more satisfying than binging a Netflix series. So I've read a lot of good books, and I just want to share 5 books that I really, really enjoyed this year. Number 1, Running with Sherman. Now, I've read Born to Run, and it's an amazing book. And so I was like, okay, I'll buy this book about a donkey. And it is so heartwarming. It's about trust. And if you get this book and you don't want to have a donkey as a pet after this, then I don't know you. It makes you want to own a donkey. It makes me want to own a goat. I'm just going to read a short passage from it, just random. I like to highlight passages in books. It's not really a spoiler. Maybe that's how we self-medicate, Curtis mused. We throw a halter on our partner and head for the high places, climbing toward the sky until something reboots our brains and makes us feel right again. Whether it be the whispering pines, or our hammering hearts, or the steady breathing of a gentle companion. Kind of resonates with me. Even if you're not a runner, this book is amazing. All right, so I started to think a lot about the kinds of books that I read, and I noticed, I read a lot of male Caucasian authors. So I thought, okay, I need to pivot and I need to read more female authors. So in Superstore, by chance, I came across this book, I Am Hutterite. And I grew up in southern Manitoba, and I'll admit, I was ignorant. I still am ignorant to a large degree, but I didn't know a lot about Hutterites. And this was written by a woman, and it was very eye-opening for me. It makes me understand Hutterite women a little bit better and to see their perspectives. So this is a short paragraph here. If the English kids found us strange, we found them equally peculiar. The girls were obsessed with keeping their clothes clean during recess. They acted as if their mothers didn't know how to use a washing machine. Being mud splattered from head to toe was one thing, but to be required to come home as clean as when you left seemed impossible. Highly recommended. Now, I love going to the bookstore and perusing books and whatnot, and sometimes even I am influenced by beautiful book covers, which was this, okay? And it was also, I saw it was Canada Reads winner and female and from a different culture than mine, and so I thought, wow, this is a winner. So without even, I did probably read one page, but after this I was sold on it, and it was very eye-opening. It taught me about things I had never thought about before. So just one little excerpt here. But for most of my 20s, Islam felt like a parent dishing out conditional love. I had no right to call myself Muslim because I'm queer and don't wear the hijab. After more than a decade of deprivation, I was spiritually hungry. Although I maintained a private relationship with Allah, I longed for a non-judgmental spiritual community where I could meet others like myself. If you want to learn, this is a good one. Now, something I learned this year from all my reading is that reading shouldn't always be comfortable. Okay, sometimes I found myself thinking, I don't want to read about this. I just want to escape COVID, other things. But in order to learn, we sometimes need to read uncomfortable things. And this book here is a very, very uncomfortable read. Okay, it's very important though. It's about the environment and about what could happen with a lot of research. So yeah, it makes you want to change. One thing in this book that I highlighted was, it's actually a quote from Steinbeck. Someday, perhaps not long from now, the inhabitants of a hotter, more dangerous, and biologically diminished planet than the one on which I lived may wonder what you and I were thinking, or whether we thought at all. Of course, we did it to ourselves. We had always been intellectually lazy, and the less asked of us, the less we had to say. We all lived for money, and that is what we died for. Again, reading shouldn't always be comfortable. If you want to learn, sometimes you have to push through. And if you want to change, you don't only have to read, you have to act on what you've read. Last but not least, this one here, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Also a difficult read. That said, the prose in here is very accessible, and this author makes you see things from different angles. And yeah, it was an amazing read. Again, makes you want to change and act. All right, here. Perhaps in the 21st century, populist revolts will be staged not against an economic elite that exploits people, but against an economic elite that does not need them anymore. It is much harder to struggle against irrelevance than against exploitation. It was kind of a wow moment in the book for me. It made me think about things differently. So, my hope for you is that you learn to love reading if you don't already. Challenge yourself. Maybe in 2021, you can have a goal to read more books than watch more Netflix series.